And a few years ago, people were laughing at you. Now, not so much. I mean,
Okay.
SpaceX, I founded approximately 4 years ago with the goal of revolutionizing access to space.
What I really want to try to achieve here is to make Mars seem possible.
Step 3 would be to provide humans to another planet services to private sector and the government.
How does one person dream of ideas that change the world? From coming up with the coolest electric cars with Tesla to launching rockets with SpaceX, Elon Musk seems unstoppable. But what drives his mind to constantly push the limits of what's possible?
Doing something useful for other people that I like doing.
When it comes to generating world-changing ideas, Elon Musk's process is both fascinating and surprisingly human. He describes how inspiration often strikes during the simplest of moments, like taking long showers or pacing around his house late at night unable to sleep. Let's face it, we have all been there. Musk lets ideas flow naturally, sometimes sketching designs or sending himself emails when something sparks his imagination. He also actively seeks feedback, especially negative feedback from trusted friends and peers. He believes that hearing what's wrong with an idea is the fastest way to improve it. When asked how he comes up with his ambitious ideas and makes them work, Elon Musk takes a practical approach. He emphasizes the importance of intellectual capital. Basically, if you're in a field like software or anything that requires brain power, you don't need much money to start. It's just you and a couple of friends working on something. That's how his early ventures like Zip2 and PayPal gave him the financial foundation to pursue bigger, more capital-intensive projects like SpaceX and Tesla. Instead of just accepting things as they are, he breaks them down to the most basic components and asks, why does it have to be this way? This method, which he calls first principles thinking, is how he approaches everything, from electric cars to rockets to underground tunnels. Take rockets for example. Instead of assuming that rockets have to cost a certain amount because they always have, Musk looks at the materials they're made of and figures out how to optimize them. By rethinking and rearranging those components, he found ways to dramatically lower the cost of building rockets. But here's the key part. Musk admits that the process is a struggle. Most ideas don't work and you have to be ready to fail over and over. So how does he keep pushing forward, even when the odds are stacked against him? Here's the deal. Most of us tend to solve problems by analogy. We look at how something has always been done and make small improvements here and there. But Musk doesn't settle for that. He ignores the usual assumptions and digs deep into the core of the issue. For example, when people said that building rockets would always be expensive, Musk didn't just accept it. He asked, what are rockets made of? What's the cost of these raw materials? After breaking it down, he realized that there was a massive gap between the cost of raw materials and the final product. So instead of buying rockets, he figured out how to build them from scratch for a fraction of the cost. And that's how SpaceX started shaking up the aerospace industry. However, this first principles approach doesn't just stop with rockets. Musk applied the same thinking when tackling the electric vehicle market. People used to believe that electric cars were impractical because of how costly the batteries were. But Musk again didn't accept the status quo. He examined the raw materials that made up the battery, things like cobalt, nickel, and aluminum. Then he figured out how to make them cheaper and more efficient by rethinking the manufacturing process from the ground up. As a result, Tesla was able to produce cars that were not only affordable, but also far more powerful than anyone had expected. Another aspect of Musk's idea generation is the ability to combine ideas from different industries. He often pulls up concepts from one field and applies them to another, whether it's taking software principles and using them to improve car technology or applying rocket science to transportation systems. Musk has an incredible knack for seeing connections that most people miss. Musk also doesn't shy away from failure. In fact, he embraces it. His process often involves trying countless things. Most of which don't work, but every failure is a step closer to one thing that does. So while many of us look at the world as it is, Musk looks at it as it could be. So what if we all started thinking this way? How many problems could we solve if we rethink everything from scratch? Elon Musk's first rule for achieving success is straightforward. Work hard. Not just in the usual sense of putting in effort, but in going above and beyond what most people think is possible. When he says super hard, he's not talking about clocking in and out of a typical workday. He's talking about fully dedicating yourself, pushing past the limits, and putting in every waking hour towards your goal. For Musk, it wasn't just about working long hours. It was about sacrifice and commitment. When he and his brother started their first company, they didn't even bother renting an apartment. Instead, they slept in their office on a couch to save money and be as close as possible to their work. They were grinding 7 days a week. That level of commitment is what Musk believes separates those who just do well from those who go on to achieve extraordinary success. It's a simple numbers game. If you're working 100 hours a week, while someone else is working 50, you'll achieve in 6 months what it takes someone else a full year to complete. It's about outpacing the competition by sheer dedication and effort. But here's the catch, it's not just about the hours you put in, but what you're doing with them. Musk's intensity comes from a belief that if you want something bad enough, you need to be willing to put your entire self into it. He's not saying you have to work like this forever, but in those critical early stages, when you're building something from the ground up, this level of commitment is essential. So if you want to build something extraordinary, don't just work hard, work harder than everyone else. Be relentless, be obsessive, and dedicate more time and energy to your dream than anyone around you. Because at the end of the day, the ones who succeed aren't just the most talented, they're the ones who are willing to push themselves further than anyone thought possible. The second rule Elon Musk emphasizes is this: make sure what you're offering is truly great. This might seem like obvious advice, but it's actually one of the most overlooked aspects of many new ventures. You have to ask yourself, is my product or service remarkable? Not just good, but undeniably exceptional. If you're stepping into an existing market with well-established competitors, your offering can't just be slightly better, it needs to be head and shoulders above the rest. Musk highlights that consumers are naturally inclined to trust what they know. If you're trying to persuade them to switch to your product, there has to be a significant reason for them to do so. People aren't going to leave a trusted brand for something that's only marginally improved. They need to see a big, clear difference. And this is where many entrepreneurs fall short. They create something that's only a little bit better and expect the world to come running. But that's not how it works. You need to put yourself in the consumer's shoes and think, why should they buy from me? The answer needs to be compelling, not just slightly different. Tesla or SpaceX didn't just aim to slightly improve on what was already available. They were game changers. They weren't just better, they redefined the categories they were in. Do you see the point? Now let's talk about rule number 3, which is just as crucial. Surround yourself with great people. If you're building a company or even joining one, the most valuable asset isn't just the product or the business model, it's the people behind it. A company is nothing more than a group of individuals working toward a shared goal. And the quality of those individuals, their talent, their work ethic, and their passion will ultimately determine the success of the company. This isn't just about hiring smart or skilled people. It's about gathering a team that shares a common vision. Think about any successful company out there. It's not a solo effort. It's always the result of a talented team working tirelessly together. So whether you're starting a new business or joining one that's already thriving, your main focus should be on gathering the best people you can find. Great ideas can only go so far without great people to execute them. The next rule Elon Musk shares is to focus on signal over noise. In the fast-paced world of business, it's easy to get caught up in distractions. So many companies waste resources on things that don't really matter, things that don't improve their product or service. Musk insists that staying laser-focused on what truly makes a difference, what he calls the signal, is essential for success. Anything else, the noise, is a distraction. Take Tesla as an example. Despite being one of the most innovative companies in the world, Tesla has never spent a dime on traditional advertising. Instead, all of its resources are poured into research, development, manufacturing, and design, directly improving the quality of the product. Why? Because every dollar that doesn't make the car better is, in Musk's eyes, wasted. This is the kind of discipline and focus he advocates for. Constantly ask yourself, are these efforts improving my product or service? If the answer is no, then stop those efforts immediately. Finally, Musk's next rule is to take risks, especially when you're young. As you get older, your ability to take those risks diminishes. Do something bold, do something that scares you. You might fail, but the lessons you'll learn and the growth you'll experience will be invaluable. If you're going to aim high, you've got to be willing to leap into the unknown. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.